All right, fun one on Saturday. Got an opportunity to get with our guys today and work some of the cleanup that we saw in the game. But obviously, really excited about this next one. Guys came ready to work today, and this is going to be a fun opponent. It's a really good team, extremely well coached. Have done a phenomenal job at utilizing their personnel and have some really talented players on their team. So it's going to be fun for us to get out there and play them.
Ready front right, Zach?
Talked a lot about wanting to learn specific things about your team each week. What do you think you learned about your team last week against Washington State?
I don't know if there's anything, if there's necessarily one thing in particular, other than, those guys really love each other. I think that showed up in, multiple opportunities when these guys had success, they were celebrating with each other. But that's something I've really already known.
All the way in the back, Matt.
Jacob's return, just how did he grade out, and just how does he help you the rest of the season?
Yeah, he's a good player. He's really physical. I think, he's a hard person to block. He's really, talented in the box. Just having him back with our team for a guy that's worked so hard to put himself in position to be back, it was great to have him out there. It certainly makes us better when we're able to utilize him.
Second row on the left here, Eric.
You mentioned having admiration for what Kyle's had to go through in terms of the personnel stuff and fixing all that. How impressive can you put into perspective? Speak a little bit more into what he's had to go through this year in that regard.
Yeah, the amount of injuries that they've dealt with, and for him to be able to utilize defensive personnel on offense and shuffle positions and utilize offensive linemen at tight end, I think it's just really impressive. Everyone's always known that he's a great coach, but the way that he's been able and his staff's been able to utilize the people they have. I know at the beginning of the year he spoke about the depth of his team is starting to really show up. He has good depth, but they're utilizing people in different ways than they anticipated when the year started, and he's done a great job coaching that group.
Front left, James.
How did you feel about the clock management at the end of each half this past week?
I was comfortable with it. You would love to get a first down there in that last series so we can keep the clock running. But we took at the very end of the game, we were able to take it down to 1 or 2 seconds before the snap on each one of those. You're trying to make sure you utilize as much of the time as possible there. But yeah, I was comfortable with the way we managed the clock.
Back right, Trevor.
This season, you've had 16 different guys make a sack, a lot of those guys freshmen. So how close do you feel like your depth is at pass rusher to ultimately where you want it to be for this program?
Well, we always want to get better, right? I think we have a lot of good players that can play, and I think that's starting to show up. Probably showed up more last week than it has so far this season. But when you have a lot of talented players that can play at a high level, you want to utilize them. But if you tell me if I can have more, then I'm going to go try to get more.
Front right, Zach.
You mentioned their depth, but particularly with Sion Vaki, how difficult is it to scout some of the guys that they're playing now because they're in new positions? I don't know that there's a ton of tape on what Sion's doing right now. You could go back to his high school days maybe to see some of it, but how difficult is that for you to scout them?
Not hard. He's really good. You just watch what he's done when he's been in. He's a really good player. They've used him in a lot of different ways. So I expect to see him on both sides of the ball. But they're talented and they're able to use those guys well.
All the way in the back, Matt.
Barnes at quarterback, just he led that drive late to get him down there. Just what do you make of him at quarterback and just this offense in general?
Yeah, I think he's getting more and more comfortable each week. What you appreciate as a football guy watching him play, the guy plays tough. He's fighting for hard yards there at the end of the game to put their team in position to win. He took some big hits and got up and kept playing, and he's impressive. And like I said, he's dangerous as a runner. He's done a good job passing the ball. He's gotten more efficient each week, and they do a great job putting them in position and using his talents.
On the left, Eric.
College game day, once again, going to the location of a game that you guys are playing at. What are you expecting from the environment, and kind of what have you heard about Salt Lake?
Yeah, I think it'll be a great environment. I know that they get loud there. I know that they love their team. So it should be a lot of fun for us. I think that speaks, obviously to the job that Utah's done this year and the job that we've done this year to put ourselves in that position to have game day there.
Front left, James.
Gary's been less involved the past couple of weeks in the passing game. Just anything behind that, or is that just kind of happenstance? Or
yeah, he's running routes, and sometimes he's covered, right? We utilize him the second play of the game in reverse. I know we'd love to get him the ball, but sometimes when guys are covering you, you don't always get the ball.
Middle on the right, Chris.
Yeah, with that sack total this year and just your pass rush in general, do you attribute that mostly to the talent level that's on the team, or have you guys done something differently this year to get those guys going?
I think we always try to challenge ourselves from utilizing different schemes that'll give us a chance to get guys on the ground. But that being said, I think personnel has certainly helped us there.
Front right, Zach.
Evan Williams had a career high in tackles, arguably one of his best games with the team so far. What have you seen from his development as the years gone on so far?
Well, probably just that. I mean, he's proven that he can be a guy that can get people on the ground, right? He's a physical player. You know, we've been able to utilize him in a lot of different ways, but he's proven consistently that he can get guys on the ground, which is an important trait on defense.
Second row on the left here, Eric.
What kind of a challenge are you expecting for the offensive line down there, both with the crowd noise, but also with guys like Ellis and his ability to get to the quarterback?
Yeah, this is of the teams in our conference, this is a team that I probably have the most respect for defensively, what they do and the pressure that they apply and how they game plan and change what they do game to game. So I think, their scheme along with their talent, sets up really well for them in every game. So it's somebody we have to be really prepared for. We have to think, outside the box and do a good job against them.
Front, James.
On John Ellis specifically, just he's leading the league right now in sacks and TFLs. What have they done to be able to free him up? Obviously, having more than just him helps. You can't double team everybody, but what is it about him that he's been able to get loose as much as he has?
Well, they're a pressure oriented defense. They're going to be pressure, and when that happens, you're going to create one-on-ones, right? And he's been able to win a lot of one-on-ones. He's a savvy player though as well, and he gets great ball get off and plays with relentless effort. And when you do those things, that's going to lead to production.
In the back, Matt.
I think you've seen a 13% increase on third down defense. Just what's led to that improvement this season, and how much more room do you feel there is to improve there?
Yeah, plenty of room to improve. And I think it will continue to be a challenge because really all that matters is the week that you're in right now, right? It's not really about the last week. It's not about the previous weeks. We've executed better. I think we've made some things simple, too, for our players to, play at a high level. I think we've understood our opponents so far really well, but we're going to continue to see some really tough opponents as things move forward. We'll have to do a good job of handling that.
James, on front.
I understand you've only been a part of this series for last year, but this has been, for the last 10 years, this is the seventh meeting between ranked opponents in this one and a series that's going to go away with the conference realignment. What does this series mean to this program? What does recruiting in Utah, where you guys have had quite a foothold for the last decade, what does Utah mean? What does a series mean to the program?
Well, this is certainly our biggest game because it's the next game, right? And again, like I've said, this is a team that I have a lot of respect for and how they've operated and what they do. Utah will always be in our footprint from a recruiting standpoint. We'd love to be able to go there and get the best and the brightest in our program. But this will be a fun game. I mean, this is one that our players will get excited about. Our fans will be excited about. We want to go down there and do well against these guys.
Back over right.
Offensively, what do you guys do to counteract a defense as talented as Utah's?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things, right? But it starts with execution, right? And it's staying on schedule. They do a good job of knocking people out of rhythm, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to run it on first or run it on second down, but it means it's good to have balance so they can't necessarily tee off on you. But when you create second and long, third and long, they get stronger and they get better. So more than anything, probably staying on schedule and finding opportunities to move the ball down the field.
All right, Zach.
You're obviously an aggressive head coach that likes to go forward in fourth down situations when it suits you, but going forward, there could be some situations where you want to build up confidence for Camden as well. How do you kind of balance those two forces?
Do whichever one's the best for our team in that moment, right? Pick the opportunity that makes the most sense for us.
Front left, James.
Stylistically, is this the kind of game that players like Popo, Taki, Justin, the last two being transfers, that this is kind of stylistically the games that when you bring in transfers like that, you look for them to be able to contribute most in games like this or Oregon State or Cal, where there's just a lot of running between the tackles, a lot where big bodies in the box mean a lot defensively?
Yeah, I think this is a game where you want to make sure you have best players on the field, and certainly stopping the run is a premium. They've done a good job in the explosive pass game at times as well. So you can't do one thing or the other. It's about putting your best 11 on the field. They're going to give you a chance to win. But they'll play bigger personnel groups. When that happens, we need to get bigger like we have all year. When they play smaller personnel groups, then we might not be as big.
Last question, James.
It looked like Bucky and Jordan were able to get back out there at the end, but just wanted to update on them and Kyrie.
Yeah, I think those guys will be good to go this weekend. They were all out there with practice today.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.